Hi everyone, welcome to this first part of the cat tutorial. The first version of this cat, we're going to be doing this one using inks. We're going to be going for the look that we did on Sherlock in the bright colours. I'll pop an image up here on the screen. We'll also be doing this one on black or a really dark brownish paper in sepia tones. So we'll either be doing soft monotones, so greys, with a hint of colour in the eyes on a black paper or on sepia tones on a dark brownish paper. I'm yet to decide that. And that one we're going to be doing, depicting the same cat, same pose, using mainly pan pastels and a few colour pencils just for the details, but it's mainly going to be a colour pencil painting. So this first version, in the inks, in the bright colours, first thing I've done, we need to just transfer over sort of a basic line drawing image. So what I've done for this is I don't want to use transfer paper, and I don't want to really indent the lines either. So I'm just getting a little bit of tape to stick it down. What I've done is I've used one of my watercolour pencils, the Albrecht watercolour pencils. You can use anything really. I've used, I think it's a Cool Grey 4, and what I've done is I've just rubbed it over the back of my printout of the cat reference. I'm just going to place it now on the sheet about there, tape it down here at the top, then I'm going to just adjust my camera a tiny little bit. There we go, so you've got the whole image in view. And the next thing we are going to do is just transfer this line drawing, or get it, an idea of the line drawing on here. Because this is going to be done in inks, there's not going to be huge amounts of details. We'll use pencil afterwards, just to add in some of the fur texture. But for the main part, we're going to be doing those bright coloured inks like we did with the Sherlock picture. We are going to put in the eyes first using colour pencils, and they are going to be detailed. Well, not super detailed, but they are going to be, the rest of the picture, like I say, is going to be quite blurry and funky colours with just some hints of the fur direction and texture. This eye, we want it in sort of detail. Same as the nose, we'll have it a little bit more detail. But let's just go in here and start just to mark some of this in. It's one of those ones as well, because we're using inks. We're going to be using lots of different colours. Right, I'm just going to flip that up. See there, you can see that is just transferring over there. Because we're going to be using inks, it's going to be a little bit of, let's see how it goes. It's going to evolve. So I have an idea of the final picture in my head, but it could be slightly different. I've got an idea of colours I want to use. But the final picture, like I say, because we're going to be sort of pretty much loosely putting down bright colours. The final image is going to be probably a variation of what I've got in my mind. And we'll just play with the colours until we've got something that suits. So I'm just going to mark in some of these little bits. I'm not going to mark in the whiskers. We could, if we wanted to, use masking fluid on those whiskers. I'm undecided yet as to whether to do that, or we might just go in with white ink at a later point. Okay, so just flick that up again, make sure we've got the image. Yeah, it's nice. If I'd used the graphite paper, it was just going to come through a little bit too harsh. And at least by using this, I know that any liquid's going to hit this watercolour pencil that I've used on the back of this reference. It'll dissolve, or at least it'll sink away into anything that we're adding. So a little hint of that shape in there, a little hint there. That's pretty much all we need of that. A little hint here of where that fur comes up to, a little bit of the eyebrow, there, and there. It's really, with this, you're simplifying it down, really just to chunky shapes. So that's a great big chunky shape there. We want that lovely chunky shape there over the eyebrow. Okay, this outline down here. That's the mouth, hint of that mouth there. More little bubbles. There. Just little hints. Okay, so I'm going to sort of just draw the outline of that sort of that jowl, that cheek there. It'll sort of make sense once you add, because we'll be adding the inks in like these to fill these blocks, and then we'll add some texture using our colour pencils later on. Okay, so we want this outline here of the edge of that head coming around here, and then we're just going to be outlining these chunky bits of fur down here. So we've got that outline there, that takes it around there. Do we want any more there? Just a hint there, that dark. Okay, so here, like another outline there, and then this is the final outline here of the outer edge of the cat. I was undecided whether to put that back in, but I am going to. I'll probably take it out a tiny bit further once I've got the full reference in front of me again. Okay, so now it's almost like, here we go, a bit, if you've done the full cat tutorial that I did of colour pencil, remember it's just chunks. Look at the shadows, look at the shapes, and all we're doing is putting in those shapes. Just have a quick look. It's probably a bit too much I've put in there, so just that highlight there, that curve there, that shape there. Almost like triangular shapes here for this outer edge of that fur there. Okay, so in here we want that dark shape there. Next we'll put in this next dark shape here. When we do this, we'll try and use inks that represent this as well, but we shall just see how the application goes. Next thing will be just to get a feel for exactly which colours we want to use. You want to keep it quite simple, you don't want more than half a dozen. So I'm probably going to look for 4 colours, possibly 5. I'll pull out the inks in a second. Okay, so just that shape. It doesn't have to be exact, remember, we're going to keep this. This is quite a loose, because we're adding the inks. This is not one of your real high detailed drawings. So that, hopefully, should give us enough detail for this. There we go. I think that should be enough. Little hint there of that cheek. There. Make sure I'm happy with the eyes. there to the ears. I think kitty is good to go. Okay, so now what I'll do, lift this off and then we will pull the inks out. We're going to do the eyes first and then we'll move on to applying our ink. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of detail to the eye. It's not going to be super detailed because this is, like I say, again, it's just a loose drawing that we're doing. We just want to pop something in to that eye. So I've just got my glassine paper in place there. We're going to go in and add a touch of detail literally to this eye. And as you can see, I'm just working as well from a print out of the reference photo, and this means I'm not going to be getting too caught up in the details. So these are the pencils I'm using. Just a quick super sharpen up. I'm going to just pop in. Again, I'm going to work quite quickly as well here. Just to get that outline in of the eye. Going to help. I'm pressing quite hard here as well because I just want to get a nice solid shape down, lightly across here. Just get that outside of that eye in there. That'll do for the outside edge. Now, a little touch of, which blue is this? This is our Prussian blue here. I'm just going to add a little touch of the Prussian blue up around the outside edge there. A little touch in the centre here. Get a little touch as well just over here on the outside edge. This is a light touch I'm using again here now. And then this is our olive green yellowish. Just going to pop in hints of colour just around the outside edge. If you've done any of my other main eye videos, especially the one of the cat, I mean, you can put more detail into this if you prefer to. I might come back to it later on anyway. I just want to get something in place. Okay, I just want to mop in as well before I go any further. A highlight, even though this is white on white, I just want to get that highlight in there. And then we'll actually draw the rest pretty much in negative to create the highlight around there, but at least that is in place now. A little hint up around there as well. Just going to go into that blue there. Oh, my point's just fired off my pencil. Okay, so dark indigo. Just some hints coming in from the outside edge again. Okay, so I'm going to bring in some of my greenish gold now, the green gold, just up here along the top edge. I'm going to draw in around the outside shape of that highlight. There is actually another highlight that runs around that outer edge there. And again, this might look too yellowy for you, but that's fine. I'm not doing it exactly to match. Lightish touch. So it's all about literally just getting something into that eye. Now a little touch more of that Prussian blue in here. I'm going to glaze over this in a second with that earth green. And that will create most of our eye. So I'm going to glaze over all of this now. Some more circular motion. Using that earth green. And this will soften all of that up, and I'm going to go in there over the top with a grey as well. You can see there we've lost our initial pupil as well. So let me just go back in, pop that pupil back in again. And glaze now some of this. I want some of this lighter, so I'm just using cool grey here over the top. I might even bring in a white. Yeah, the grey's not light enough. I'm going to bring in the white there just to glaze over this area. That's much better. I think what I'll do is get the rest of the cat in place, and then we'll come back in. And we can add more or less detail to this as we need it. I know with Sherlock I hardly put any detail into his eye at all, so I don't want to detract from our actual drawing, painting almost we're doing. Okay, so we just need to just pop that line back in there again. A little bit more of the greenish green gold just over the top here. I might just pop a little bit more of the blue back in there as well. Back in with our white. See how quick I am being with this as well, so I'm not being too fussy at all. And one more glaze with our earth green, and that really should be enough for a hint of that eye for now. Sharpen up that pupil. Just a hint of where that brow is going to come up to. Just being mindful that these are oil pencils. When I put down the inks, it's going to be obviously the ink and the oil pencil aren't going to mix, so just being wary. Right, and whilst I'm here, glittery as well. Just going to pop in that nostril. So again, that is another little fixed point I could lose with the ink going down quite loosely. Okay. But the rest, I think, we are going to be doing with our inks. Okay, so we've got our eye in place, we've got our line drawing in place. What I've done off to one side, so whatever colours you've got of your inks, I've just done sort of a colour chart and let them dry for a few hours because they do fade a little bit and they'll fade again a little bit more overnight. So these went on really vivid. It was really because I've bought new colours since I did the original Sherlock drawing, so I had an idea in my head. I wanted some sort of pink, purple and turquoise in this. You can mix them. I'm going to go for, I want to keep it to 4 colours, and then one probably I've got my black to go in, but I've also got a peat brown that I might mix with it as well, or my violet. I might mix the two together to create like the dark tiger stripe down through the markings. I'm just debating whether I'm going to pop those in first. I think I'm going to pop them in afterwards, to be honest. I'm going to get the base colour down first of all. I've also got a white that I'll put over some of the edges just to soften those up, and especially along this front edge. And possibly like the violet on that outer edge as well. I might even darken it up. I can do that with the pencils as well afterwards, just add a little bit more of the texture. And we're just going to like use this pretty much like an underpainting, but put it down pretty quick. So I've selected from here then, I've got the sunshine yellow. So I'm just going to get these bottles now. I've got the sunshine yellow. I'm going to line them up to one side so I've got them ready to use. That's the sunshine yellow. I've got the carmine, which is quite pink. This one here is quite pink. I think I'm going to use it. I'm going to see whether I should use the orange or not. But we'll see, because it's a girl cat. So I've got the viridian, which is the turquoise. And also I've got the purple. So that's the 4 colours. So this purple here. That's the 4 main colours that I'm going to use. And like I say, I'm probably going to bring in black or mix with the peat brown or the violet for, I'm going to get those ready for my dark stripes. And also I've got the white as well, because I'm going to need to highlight the inside the ears, across the top of the head there, and down around under the chin, and some of these outer edges here as well. So just leaning in here. The other thing as well is you just want to make sure, so I'm just making sure I've got the camera and everything lined up. What I've done is I've got 5 brushes here of different thicknesses as well. So I've got a size 10 watercolour brush, a size 8 round brush, then just 3 flat brushes of different sizes. So I'm going to try and make sure that I keep, even though I've got water here and tissue to clean off my brushes with, I want to try and keep it a brush per colour, so we're not getting in too much of a mess. So which colour to go in with? Looking at the picture, I think I'm going to go in with my yellow first of all. So let's have a look, make sure I'm all lined up. Okay, let's go for it. So I'm just going to go into my yellow, just the sunshine yellow, just make sure it's coming out. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit here over the nose. Just looking at my reference as I'm doing it. A little touch here. Let's have a look around that edge there. I'm sort of just going with some of the colours that are actually on my reference drawing. I'm probably taking my time on this as well, a little bit more than maybe how free I was when I did the original Sherlock, partly because it's for a tutorial and it's for you guys. So I'm sort of just looking to see where I can kind of see little bits of yellowy tinge. Okay, this bit down here. I'll follow that stripe down. See literally how far. A little speck in there I want to take off. This ink does go. I just dunk my brush in the water a little bit there, because it will carry on working even with a little touch of water just to water it down. That just softens it up a little bit there as well. So eyes back up to that reference photo, same as we always do, flick the eyes backwards and forwards to that reference. Okay, so quite yellow. I basically picked out quite a fawn colour within that yellow, and that's kind of what I'm following. So everywhere I can see that fawn, I'm making it yellow. A little bit there in the cheek. In through there. A little bit touches through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the next colour up over the head. Little touch here. I'm going to just pop in a little hint there of the yellow there. Softly. Okay, now I'm going to move on to another brush, and I think next I'm going to go in for that, that Viridian. So let's take it up here, and it'll let it bleed, it doesn't matter, I want it to bleed into those other colours around it. So a little touch coming down here. Little bit in there. I need to go in and do those inner corners of those eyes. Touch up into the green. Little touches. Again, all I'm doing, like literally flicking my eyes backwards and forwards. And also I do want to actually put this up on a tilt because I do want it to run a little bit. So I'm going to come down here and mark in part of that mouth. So I'm just going to go quiet whilst I'm just literally, I'm dunking in the water where you can see it's a little bit softer. I've just dunked in the water there just to soften it back. Now I'm going to come down through here, pull some of that down through there. Want some of that direction going on. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and grab some of the purple. Okay. That's bleeding in beautifully there. Now I'm going to get some of this purple into the ears as well. Soften it, drag some of it up. going to go over this with some of the white, so it doesn't matter that it's gone too dark there. I'm going to take some of this purple down here around this outer edge. Nice and dark. I think actually I might even pull in an orange, you know. And I want some of that yellow. Mixing with this purple here. That's lovely, and that's where that dark stripe's going to go in afterwards as well. So I'm going to take this around the eye now. So I've only got a hint of colour on there. Keep cleaning it off. Touch down through here. Touch around that mouth. Touch yellow just here. And bring it down there. Okay, so around here by the mouth, I just want to really soften this. Just want a light glaze coming around there. We're going to add a tiny touch pink. Is that nose? That is way too bright a pink, but we can soften that back later on. So this is the pink, this is the carmine, it's not actually pink, so I'm going to add a touch of that in the ear. That's lovely. Still needs just a blend. Some of that yellow up into that ear. I'm going to take it there as well. And then I'll use that purple part of that ear. Okay, so now I'm going to go in here with the purple as well. I just want to start to add in a little bit of texture through here, and again I'll soften it up, and again I'm just going to map in a dark tiger stripe that we kind of lost there a little bit. I'm washing and cleaning brushes as I go. Okay, drag that over there now. You can see there, that's much softer. Okay. Back through here now, soften some. Can you see? Basically you put the colour in and then you can just make it bleed into the previous colour just by a little bit of water. Now, take that little touch of carmine in through here. Just want a little bit going around there. It's literally, I'm popping the colour in where there is markings. Okay, so I'm going to actually pull out now, earlier than I thought, because I just wanted to get the darks in. This is the peat brown, which is, believe it or not, the darker of the browns. And what we're going to do is just use this just to soften some of those shapes that are actually brown in the photo, and then we can go in with the black in around those as well. So here, it's a really, really, really subtle brown. here. That's better. And also we're going to use it around this outer edge and push it up to this outer edge here, all the way down there. I don't want to kill the colour too much, that's the only thing we're doing it this way. A little bit in there. And also depending on what paper you end up using for this is how well it takes your ink. Sorry, I'm trying to concentrate and talk. It's great doing this talking as I'm filming, but I'm doing the inks with slight pressure to get them down. I'm having to concentrate and talk at the same time as applying them. As you can see, looking very bright at the moment. I'm probably going to go in over the top with some more of the colours. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to carry on down this outside edge and just map in all of those darks. Okay, more darks in here. So I'm going to map in all of these darks now. And then I'm going to go in over the top with the black just to really darken them up. Especially in around the eye. So we just don't want to kill the lovely colours. So let's look at these shapes and just get same as we did if you did the cat big tutorial, the one I've just done on the suede mat. We're just going to block in some of these dark shadows to get that roughy tufty fur look. So we might not fill in the shadows exactly like they are on the reference. It's just to give the idea of the fur. So we're sort of almost doing it's a bit like tiger stripes. And so your colours can be completely different. Just use whatever colours you fancy using, to be honest. Where are we? To be honest, I've lost track because I'm working so fast. I'm literally popping these shadows in now wherever I think they will look right. Flick some of these out. Wherever I've got this peat brown, I'm going to go over some of it with that violet, which is the darkest purple, and also little touches of the black as well. So that's pretty much it for, you can see like how much it's softening down up here already anyway. So let's bring that shadow around here. And we want all of the back of this cat to be in shadow. Just going to pull this down here quickly. we go. So we're going to go back to our original colours now. So back to our sunshine yellow, which we're going to pull in over the top of some of this now. We're going to have lots of white going over the top of these edges as well. I do love the way these go down, especially when the bleeding. It's so different to the control that I feel that I have to have when I'm doing the pencil work. This just is so much looser, and it's quite liberating, to be honest. I'm going to pull some of this down, see how much it bleeds into the brown now. Lovely. A few little touches here on this outside edge. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use more blues down this side and some more purple and red on the other side, and I know obviously the blue is going to blend with that yellow. So let's check I've got the blue. So this is the Viridian, which is that greenish blue. So some tinges coming down through here. I'll pull a little bit through here. Okay, I'm pretty much not following the reference anymore now. I'm just going to go by eye. Some tiny touches down through here. Okay, so I'll water that down now. I'm going to drag this just to fill those shapes with something soft, watered down. I'll go in over the top of those with white. Okay, so now back over to this side, and I'm going to put in some of that purple. So some touches of purple coming down through this side. There's no real science behind this. It is literally about just loosening up, following that reference to begin with, but then sort of just having fun with it. Okay, so drag some of that colour across into there. So we've got colour pretty much all over now. So it's how much you want to go back in and make some adjustments. Because remember, we're going to be pulling in the pencil tomorrow as well. Little touches of this coming up through. And just remember to stay inside of those lines. You don't want to be going over the outside edge, apart from obviously the fluffy fur down the bottom. That doesn't matter quite as much. Just gives that hint of the brow on the other side. So I'm going to grab my white now. Just need a small dish to pop my white into. Should have had that ready, so I apologise. There we go. Because this one comes with a pipette. This is slightly different ink. Bit of a strange ink. This one is De La Rowney acrylic artist ink. So, which of my brushes is clean. Okay, so I'm going to go in with this. Let's just see how it goes down first of all. And we are just going to come in. See, that is really softening that outer edge down. And I'm going to do it as well. I've got my reference back up again now. So we want to go into the ears. We want to come down over all the highlight areas and just soften up areas that need to be softened. So like the pink of that nose. Across that topper edge. So each time I clean off, I want to go back in my brush relatively dry here. So we want to come in here, pull. This will mix, and it will dry softer than I am applying it. If that makes sense, it's going down quite bright white, but when it starts to dry, it won't be quite as bright. Okay. Again, I'm still working pretty loose here, so I just want to pop that highlight in. Into the eye, doesn't matter if it bleeds out, that's fine. Pull that down there. So I'm not giving you a very good description, am I? But it's almost like you can see what I'm doing here. And I think the thing is, really, you just got to get stuck in and have a play. And just don't fear the colour. It's fine. Okay, so I'm going to get this muzzle shape back again here now. So I can put those dots all back in again, those hair follicle dots all back in again later on. That's really pulled back that highlight, little highlight here through here. Okay, so down here to soften up some of these outside flicks. You see up here, it's literally that is sort of all smoothing out and going really soft now. Whereas when I put it down, it's keeping it all moving whilst it's still wet as well. So I'm going to soften every single one of these flicks. Some, obviously, I've softened more than others with pure white going in there. And these have just gone back over the top. Okay, so soften that one all the way back, pure white. And in the others, just little touches on the end. There we go. So now, if few little flicks in through here. And again, I'm just going to put this down. It's going to bleed. That's fine. It's going to mix. But it's mixing with all of those colours that you've already put down. I'm going to go up into those ears in a minute as well. See, it's the white that makes the difference. When you're putting your colour down, as long as you're thinking about your lights later on, where you're going to put them, doesn't matter really how much colour you put down, because you can pull back the your contrast and that with the application. And we've still got the black to go in yet as well, remember. I just want to keep making sure. I'm going to go around the bottom of the eye again, just to really brighten that bit up. Same here, going around that brow again, just to brighten that up. Around the top there as well, and just here along that nose. There we go. So I'm going to go into that ear now because I want to get in there before it dries. Just concentrating. There we go. And then a little bit inside of the other ear, which has lost its shape a tiny little bit. So let's pull that back. Needs to come down there. It's better. And we're pretty much there with this application of the white. Let's just soften some of this up again. So if you wanted to tip this, I've got mine quite flat, because obviously I'm filming. If you wanted to tip this, you could have this and it would be running. If you want to go for more of the chaos feature of this, you could, you know, tip it and let it run. You know, it'd all run into each other as well. Just going to pull a little bit of highlight around here, just to mark back in the edge of that cheek there. A little bit of texture, but we don't want to kill all of that colour. So it's about the third or fourth layer of the white that we've popped around that muzzle area there. A little bit more on the nose. But those initial colours are still showing through. That's the whole point. Yeah, softened all of those. Feathered them as well now. These, mention when I put this down, remember I put it down, it was really solid white blocks. And just see how much it's softened up. Well, it's bled into the ink that was down there before and surrounding it. So those last few little flicks here, soften up that edge. Okay, that's fine. So now I'm going to pull in. Now, do I go for the violet? I think. Let me just. I'm going to have a little test. I'm going to put, because the black ink is an Indian ink. I'm also just looking here as well. Do I want to strengthen up before it all dries? Do I want to just go back in and strengthen up that initial yellow? I think I do. Just looking back at my Sherlock drawing as well. Let me just go in. A little touch of the yellow. A little touch around here. It's not much, I just want to... A little touch back around here. It's just those initial colours that we put down. It's going to bleed. It will bleed into all the other colours, remember. See that bleed when I put it down? So literally just placing it. When you put the ink down now, whatever colour you put down, it almost like, because it's on the pastel mat, it almost splodges it outwards for you. Where it's already soaked in there. A little more touch back through there. So I'm just debating whether to tip this at the end or not. But I'm quite happy with the colours. Do I want to mark under that chin? I do, but watered down. Really watered down, just a little hint. There, under that chin. And a teeny little touch just along the top of the head again. Okay, so black. Now I want to be careful because I'm not sure quite how much this is going to go on. What I'm going to do is just go in along this bottom, this outside edge first of all. If I need to let it dry a little bit more, I think I'm going to. I didn't use black when I did Sherlock, so I'm not sure whether I want this. Yeah, that's fine. Whilst it's still damp, it's going down nicely. So I'm going to just come down here, just kind of mark in, give the hint of that texture of that fur down this outside edge. I'm not picking up a lot of ink. I want to try and make what I have picked up go a long way. It's mixing in with that brown that we put down. But it is still bleeding nicely into the surrounding inks, which is good. Okay. That's good. So, on that premise, that's gone down okay. Just going to go into a couple of these shadows with it watered down. Just darken them up a tiny bit. Those initial shadows that we put down. And I'm just going to drag some of it up from the outer edge. Gives it a lovely sense then of light on one side, dark on the other. We don't want to darken up too much, but we need a little hint of that tiger stripe effect. Okay, so here, water down. I just need to come in behind. The outer edge of that cheek of the face. Just darken up in around there as well. You want to be careful here, because remember, you've got yellow down. If you start mixing that black in there too much, it's going to go more of a green colour, but it's not going to be a very nice green. No, I think up here is still a little bit too damp. I don't want too much bleeding going on with the black stripe going down. Just see. That's okay. Concentrating again. So those stripes probably don't match up perfectly, but they've given me enough of an effect. So that should just sink in and soften that up through there. Just soften that edge. All I'm doing is just squishing my brush down along that edge. I know I need a little bit of dark on that ear there, but I don't want it bleeding out too much. I could just go in with a little touch and see how it's going to apply. It's gone quite grey. I'll risk a tiny bit more. A little bit there of brows. What I'm doing is little touches. I'm just letting it bleed out now. And it's creating the texture itself then. There. I'm gonna leave it pretty much like that for now, and then we'll come back in with our pencils tomorrow when it's dry. I don't know, do I want a little bit more pink going back through there? Just looking at it, I just want to, 'cause this is the last chance to add a little bit of colour. I don't want to miss out on not having that colour in there. Tiny bit of purple maybe. Little bit of purple down through there before it dries. I don't want to be messing with it too much now because it's just going to come a mix of all the colours otherwise. I can see that's just happened there already. So, right, I'm going to leave it now. Stop, Lisa. Just swirl that into there. Swirl that into there. Okay, and I'm just going to soften, 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 soften those black marks. There. Okay, so see, I can't resist it. I just want to pop some more colour in. This is really naughty of me. Just felt like it had lost some of that lovely initial colour there. Okay, right, now I really am going to leave it. Okay, so we'll leave it there for now and we'll come back to it tomorrow when it's dry.